Hey, what is up, Lakers? What is up, Dragons? Welcome to a very rare intro on Drag the Lake. That is right. We are editing and re-uploading this. We had a little bit of a snafu. The autism grabbed the wheel and just took charge, and then just ran. Yeah. So we forgot that we host a music podcast. We had a little bit of a long tangent on religion, which we are going to keep in because I thought it was a good conversation. I think you and me, we had some deep thoughts, some good old ha-has.
Yeah, I think some insightful points as well as some really dumb things that we probably also said. But either way, it's going to be entertaining.
Some super dumb fucking things. But this is a music podcast. So we made sure we hooked you guys up with an hour of music talk. We're going to edit it around and throw the music up top. Then you guys get the religion if you want. If not, you can.
The second half did have a little music talk at the beginning, too. We did talk about... I just want to bring up the fact that we started that conversation talking about Metallica and popular metal, and then it really morphed like a motherfucker into like a pretty good deep ass talk about religion that we probably should have had before the show, before we started streaming.
But yeah, so it was just so we made this joke already, but it was just so funny watching the live viewers be pretty good. And then fall off hard, and we're like, hey, maybe we rein in the non-music talk in the future. But either way, we this is gonna be one of the rare edited episodes just for your benefit. This is for your benefit. We love you, and we want it so nice for you. So enjoy this new episode of Drag the Lake. We'll see you next time. Don't forget, new music streams on twitch.tv/BigRed, aka Andy. And we're here most Sunday mornings vibing out. We want you guys in the mix. So fucking subscribe and do all that stuff. Until next time, enjoy this fucking episode. And, go blow someone.
Just
blow someone to come. Get the fuck out of here.
Go blow.
Go blow a guy.
Like, you sure you want to send it?
I've done that so many fucking times. I've done that so many times where you fucking send it and you just have no link.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn it, I look like I do that at work all the time where I'll be like, attached are the files, and they'll be like, the files aren't attached. I'll be like, you're fucking right. I'm gonna attach the files, then kill myself.
I guess.
Welcome to the actual episode of Drag the Lake. I got us off on a hard tangent. If you're listening to this on audio, I'm gonna re-edit it and I'm gonna put that first chunk at the end because this is a music podcast. And if you want to hear us talk about religion for an hour, you have that option. But I'm gonna front load you with music and stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, hey, we separated it because we're considerate of you guys. Pat.
We think about all you dragons out there, and we know that you guys want us to talk about music from 100 years ago and not religion from hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago. So obviously we're not experts on either, but we know a little bit more about music. So how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty fucking good. I'm glad we got that out of the way because I've been wanting to talk about that. But I do have another channel. Actually, what was funny about that? Because sometimes I think I separate my different interests too much into different things. And I was like, maybe I should just have one channel for all the stuff. And then that gave me a really good test sample of don't do that. Because dude, when you said the comments came to a screeching halt, I was like, they fucking did.
Yeah. It's the funniest thing too, because I think about it often too, like where I'm like, I want to put out shit that like I would listen to, and I would listen to that for sure. But what if this might be a better solution for us, at least for the regular episodes? Because I think the music streams, we are a little bit more loosey goosey with that.
Yeah, we can freeball that,
and they can comment something in the chat to kind of bring us back in to say like, here, listen to this song. And we're like, oh, okay, yeah. But I think maybe whenever we plan to start the episode, maybe me and you actually get together an hour before. Because that was essentially pre-pro. Maybe we just do like a little mini pre-pro pod, and we could record it. We could put out for people that do want to hear us talk like that, and you could put it on. But yeah,
this is housekeeping shit.
Well, I mean, pound off,
We'll figure out. Nah, honestly, it was just my autism took the fucking wheel and just rode us off the goddamn cliff because I had to talk about that and there was no way to get around it. But we did that. So, Pat, I have a really fucking important question to ask you.
Yeah.
Are you listening? Are you listening? Pat,
Yeah.
Pat. What have you been listening to, my guy?
Me personally, Andy, I've been listening to. I actually just checked out the by request of Drag It Out there, Todd. He suggested to listen to that. He had been listening to the latest Code Orange.
Oh yeah, that's a good conversation to have because Code Orange has been an interesting shift over time, and they're one of those bands that you're gonna get a different opinion depending on like when you got into the band. Like you're gonna get drastically different opinions from Code Orange fans. I have a lot of opinions, but you brought it up, Pat. Where are you on Code Orange and the new shit and stuff?
So from I'm an outside fan of Code Orange. I'm somebody who has listened to them over the years a little bit, but overall, so I can't necessarily speak on their transition totally, except for the fact that when I started a Knocked Loose Pandora channel, Code Orange was one of the bands that kind of snuck in, and it's like so it's the new album, to say the least, Andy, surprised the shit out of me because I was like, it seems to me, and I don't know, it was actually spoken about in the previous episode that's going to be added to the end of this, but it kind of reminded me of like the way metal is kind of going in the more commercialized sector, I guess. I don't know what was it, Spiritbox. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Spiritbox, like where it had very ethereal, very musical, very kind of light, airy parts, and then like just fucking heavier stuff. It was really interesting and not what I expected out of Code Orange. And I've only listened to it once so far, once on the way back from that show in Allentown. And I gotta say, I don't love it. I probably won't listen to it too many more times, but I'm interested to find out, like, I guess now I kind of want to check out their progression. Has this been more of a smooth progression? And also, I'm glad that you brought that up because we were just talking about that on the last music episode, music stream we were doing on Twitch.
Not earlier today, not on our religious breakdown,
not on our religious show, but but on our when we were talking about Mutoid Man, of like I'm famously somebody who comes into bands.
Famous?
No.
Like known around the world for this?
Yeah. I in at least locally, regionally, I'm known for being the guy that loves bands' new albums, and everybody else, all the real fans, hate it. You know what I mean? So, but luckily, in this case, I like the old stuff because this new Code Orange stuff, not a fan.
Yeah, I wait. Let me pull up the Code Orange shit. Cause first off, I always had a weird taste in my mouth for them. Because I don't know if you know this, but when they originally came out, they were actually called Code Orange Kids.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they came out. They were called Code Orange Kids, and then for some reason, they changed the name of the band. Now, I'm not anti changing the name of your band, because like the most famous example is Blink-182 was called Blink, and then some other band was like, we're Blink, and they were like, we don't give a shit. So they just changed their name, or actually, I think they weren't changing their name for a while. And then the other band was like, you better change your fucking name or we're going to sue you. So they're like, oh, okay, we don't fucking care enough to deal with that. So they added 182 at the end of it. Same thing happened with Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan, there's apparently like another Kublai Khan that came at them. So they're like, well, we don't give a shit. We'll just put TX.
Is that why they put the TX on there? I always wondered about that. Oh,
yeah, I was listening to them on the Craig Reynolds, the dude from Stray from the Past podcast. Which, sidebar, they got the drummer from Animal as Leaders, and they posted he posted the funniest fucking clip where it was just the dude from, you know how like drummers or musicians in general will like sort of vocalize how the music should sound, and the drummer's always like, so yeah, you're going like and then he's doing the stuff where he's like, because Animals as Leaders is known for having like weird time signatures and all that shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's doing that shit where he's like 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and you know, like breaking down different, and it's just, I was watching that and I was like, oh, this is probably going to be the most satisfying drummer episode of this fucking podcast. But no, I heard the dude from the dudes from Kubla Khan on that dude's podcast, and yeah, they were saying like some dude was just coming at him like, yo, we're Kubla Khan, and they were like, we don't give a shit. Okay, we'll put a fucking TX at the end. So if you're gonna change your name like that, that makes sense. But I don't know. I always just like, so there was always this weird part. I don't know. It might be petty or whatever the fuck, but there was always this like weird part of me that I was just like, why'd you drop the fucking kids? That was fun. I liked that a lot. That was fun that you had that there.
Yeah.
And it actually felt like it kind of coincided with their music shift. When they dropped the kids, they became this like industrial band that they are now.
That doesn't seem, it's really interesting because it doesn't seem like a copyright thing. There's a couple bands that I used to listen to growing up that kind of changed. There was a band that's now known as Phoenix TX that started out as River Phoenix, but I guess River Phoenix's family apparently said, hey, we don't like the fact that you named yourself after a dead kid. And
oh, is it after he died? Because I just imagine River Phoenix being like, hey, that's me.
Hey, that's not you. You're not me. And then there was also another band that actually I was a big fan of, Jughead's Revenge, that actually I think did get sued by Archie Comics, and probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for that was that Riverdale? Isn't that the name of they have like a live action version of Archie?
Riverdale.
And it's essentially, I think, because that got famous, or maybe they were going to reboot it or something like that, but they ended up. So now even when you go to Spotify, like their cover art has changed now to Jug's Revenge. And it's like,
is that what they're called? Jug's Revenge?
Yeah. Like Jugg instead of Green Day used to be called Sweet Children. Ew. Ew. That's really gross. I don't like that. So yeah, some name changes are good, I guess. But Jughead's Revenge, and both of those I think were maybe not copyright things. I think River Phoenix and Phoenix TX, I think that might have just been a like kind of like a respect, like, okay, sorry. But also funny that they changed their name to TX as well, just like Kubla Khan. And they're like,
yeah, I think sometimes
if Every Time I Die comes after us for like, hey, you can't use our the name of the lyric from our song as you'd be like, fine, we're Dragon Lake, Texas.
Yes, dude. Can we be Drag the Lake TX? That would be so fucking sick. I kind of want to just do that.
That or Danza Era Misfits. Either one of those would be okay name changes for me.
Dude, I want to be Drag
the Lake TX.
Bro, we're Drag the Lake TX.
Yeah, I sign off on it. This is a verbal
I'm doing it right now. Now we got podcast. That's so fucking funny. That's the name of the episode. Drag the Lake TX. No, I think like, I don't think Every Time I Die could come after us for Drag the Lake, because that's not like close enough.
It's not the name of the song or it's just a lyric from the song. Yeah.
Yeah, even if it was the name of the song, I think now I'm no expert in copyright law and all this other fucking shit. I'm no expert in that, but from what I've gathered, I think it is when it provides substantial enough confusion. Like if we called the podcast the Every Time I Die podcast, I think Every Time I Die has a legal argument to be like, you guys got to change that because it's misleading. I think that's what it is when it comes to like copyright shit. It is when it's like misleading or something like that. But yeah, just calling it Drag the Lake, I don't think would do some shit.
Just in case, let's get ahead of it.
Yeah, Drag the Lake TX.
Drag the Lake TX. Welcome to the show.
Excuse me.
We both
that is funny with I forgot. Dude, I fucking forgot Green Day was called Sweet Children. I never knew that. So bad.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I told you I was obsessed with them in high school, so I fucking knew all the little shit. I just haven't given a fuck about Green Day in a while. Not that I dislike them. They just, after 21st Century Breakdown, I was just like, eh. Cuz like 21st Century Breakdown was like a decent album, but it just sounded like not as good American Idiot, and then everything after that was like, because it was like, you liked American Idiot? What if we did that 3 times, not as good? And you're like, I don't want that. I don't want that at all, guys. But yeah, so back to Code Orange is I think they did a thing that a lot of metal bands do. Like you saw fucking A Day to Remember try it. Devil Wears Prada is trying it right now, where they like, hey, being artistic's cool, but we really like money. And that's the vibe I get. Well, actually, I got to be perfectly honest. I heard this interview with the lead singer. I'm being funny like that, but I heard this interview with the lead singer from Code Orange, and that dude seems like about it. Like with the shit he makes and how he makes it and stuff like that. He seems like a fucking true artist with that stuff. And I think the vibe I get, so they're from Pittsburgh. Which I got to imagine is a quality and underappreciated hardcore city. Because have you ever been to Pittsburgh, Pat?
Yeah, dude, it sucks. There's got to be something good there. Like
I always say this about Pittsburgh. When we went and did shows, I did a show there with Robbie Bernstein, and we go there, and whenever I go to a new city, if we have time, I like to find out what their fucking food is of that city, and we go and get that food. And I was asking people at the show, I go, what's like your fucking spot? And you go, Permanthi Brothers. And I go, and they always said it with a look in their face, and they're like, it's fine. So, when your city's thing is fine, because this is all it is. Permanthi Brothers is literally just fucking, it's sandwiches, and then they make them a little bigger, and they put a bunch of French fries on it.
Put soggy fries on your sandwich. Yummy.
Yeah, which, it just really...
So, this is my issue. This is my issue with Pittsburgh in general, and I think it's not a race issue, but let me just tell you right now, it's not a race issue. There's too many Polish people in that area.
Okay, I was like, yo, Pat, Florida gotta chill. Where are we going with this? Okay, you're coming at whites. You're coming at whites. So we're good. We're good.
I like
we're
to
good.
dabble in a misdirect every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? I like a little misdirect.
I like a good racially uncomfortable misdirection. It's definitely a fun time.
And it's mainly Polish, I think, food in general, right?
Yeah.
The pierogi, they think that potatoes.
Whoa.
Fuck Pat, pierogies in
Pat, knock it off.
You fill a pasta with a potato? What the fuck are you doing?
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
On a sandwich, and you think potatoes is going to make it better? Why don't you just use potato bread? It exists.
What?
Potato bread. Martin's
who puts
potato bread.
What
do you think French fries are, Andy? Look them up.
I don't even think you're actually fat. I don't think you were ever. I think you've just been in a suit because you just shit on potato bread. You've been a skinny guy in a suit this whole fucking time.
Hold on a second. I didn't. I said use potato bread. Don't just put potatoes on a fucking sandwich. That's stupid. What are you doing? That's what French fries are, Andy. They think that.
Okay. Yeah, but may I interject?
Yeah,
You're making contradictory points to prove your initial point, which is a good point. French fries on a sandwich is stupid, but you know why? It's not because it is potatoes. It's because of the type of carb. Because if you go, here's the thing. On a sandwich, you can double up on certain types. That's why you can double up on vegetables. You can double up on meat. You can double up on carbs, but you have to have different textures in those carbs. So bread is a soft carb, and the French fries are also a soft carb. So when you put them together, it doesn't feel like a new thing. It feels like more. That's why when you put potato chips on a sandwich, it's a crunchy carb. It makes a little bit more sense. It's not for everyone, but it works more.
But it makes sense, right?
It makes sense. Now, all that being said, it doesn't negate the beautiful essence that is a pierogi.
A pierogi is the same thing you just said. It's taking a soft carb and filling it with a soft carb. What are you doing? Put cheese in there, you fool. Put some cheese in there, you fool.
You can put cheese in a fucking pierogi.
We're gonna end the podcast because of our disagreement about pierogies. Is this where we're at?
I don't believe you. You don't like pierogi? You're contrarian Pat. I mean, I'll give you props. You're being a tugboat. You're being a freight train, I mean, right now on your bullshit. You're being a freight.
If you're going to have a pasta, you need to have some other taste and texture with it. You got some other taste and texture. And if you're only going to put a little bit of butter on it, there's not even enough salt. There's nothing.
Can I meet you halfway?
Flavor. Yeah.
Can I meet you halfway?
Please.
If you don't get the outside of the pierogi crispy, then,
you're right.
Please do me a favor and go to hell. Because sometimes, no, they'll do that. That. Here's the thing. I grew up around a lot of Dutch-ass Pennsylvania whites. And sometimes they get lazy and they just throw all the pierogies in a pot and they all get soft. I'll still fucking go to town on that. But the optimal pierogi is making the outside hella crunchy. So I'll meet you halfway on that. But Pat, I'm sorry. This is why I think you're a skinny guy in a fat suit. If you don't like pierogies, you're a liar. You're a liar, and I'm upset.
I am. It's almost the same stance I take against service dogs, and the stance that I've a very unpopular opinion about service dogs.
Let me fucking pet them. Isn't that your stance? Let me fucking pet them.
Boil it down. Sure, I think it's also a low level of slavery, but either way, I feel like there's still a level of fuckery that I think if your town is hanging its hat on this particular cuisine, you better have other cool shit in your town because it ain't cutting it. Because
that is the problem. That is the problem with white food that's not Italian. Because I don't know, are Italians white?
Yeah, they are.
Like, I mean, technically. But but if you close your eyes, you're like, that's not a white guy. Yeah. But no, when it comes to the white foods, there is a lack of variety. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you go, like say you went to. If you went and ate stereotypical black food, or if you went and ate stereotypical Spanish food, there is going to be a wide variety of it. But if you're just like, we're going to eat stereotypical white food, you're going to be like, all right, so what chicken fingers are you heating up in the fucking oven?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's crazy. So essentially, I think with the amount, like the food selection in Pittsburgh, you got to have some other kind of cool shit happening there, some cool music, some cool bands, something coming from it. Because like we were saying, I think they even when Iowa came out, or when Slipknot came out, they were like, oh yeah, they're from Iowa. There's nothing else to do there, so all you have to do is, if there are artistic people that find each other in this state, they're going to make some of the best art because they have no other outlet for it.
That's that's a really good point where cuz dude, fucking Knock Loose. They're from like Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky's beautiful, but it's also there's not a lot to do unless you go to like Cincinnati, or you have to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they if they're from rural Kentucky, or if they're from the other side of Kentucky, like Lexington isn't fun. I've been there. It's nice. It's beautiful, but it's not like fun.
Yo, I never thought about that. I bet you some of the best like heavy bands are from these rural areas, because that actually, like the suburbs. Now the suburbs aren't as boring as rural areas, but the suburbs are still. Like, I grew up in the suburbs. Before you get a car, it is limited what you can fucking do.
Right.
It does get a little bit boring, but also at the same time, there's still like stuff to do. Like, it's boring, but you can, you and your friends can meet up, and it's safe, so you can walk around to a lot of places. So that's why
there's a mall, there's a guitar center, there's like things to go like have fun and meet.
Or there's a
people
fucking
like you. Yeah.
There's a fucking park. There's a fucking strip mall. It's like boring, but it's nowhere near as boring as like middle of fucking nowhere Kentucky or
farmland.
Texas or shit. Yeah, farmland. Yeah. So that's probably why pop punk makes the most sense coming out of those type of areas. It almost matches. it matches to the area more. And I'm like you got my mind working on this because we were talking about Metallica in the first half, which is now the second half. We were talking about Metallica on the Bible episode, the religion episode. And no, like you think about a band like Metallica. They were in the generation of like speed metal. You know, the a lot of those metal bands in California that clearly listened to punk music and stuff like that, but they went more wiggity wiggity than palm muting and shit. So that's why, you know, Metallica, they started out, they were in LA, right?
Actually, you know what? I don't know. Are you gonna look that up? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know if they were actually LA or not, but I remember like they damn, yeah, they might have been.
They were LA. 81. But like it makes more sense because you're in a more high energy, fast paced type of place. So it's gonna influence your music. And then if you start in a place like, you know, Knock Loose is a great example. Actually, you know where you see here, wait, I got a lot of thoughts that I'm gonna try to string together. Because like if you look at a band like Knock Loose, like they have their own unique flavor, but also at the same time, they do abide by a lot of the hardcore structures where it is the fast circle pit part, the medium speed two-step part, and then the breakdowns and stuff. And that comes from the fact that, you know, bands now grow up on the internet. They grow up on they learn a lot of this stuff from the internet.
Yeah.
And that's how they find out how shit sounds. But then at the same time, you take the growing up in this rural area, and I think for a band like Knock Loose, and once again, I'm not 100% sure how rural they grew up, but I watched who the fuck was it? Hard Lord did an episode with their lead singer from Knock Loose where he took him around town, and it has like that small town vibe. So if you're in this like small town area and you have this free time and you have a lot of this you know, boredom that's happening, I think that's what's gonna help give like a more of a dark edge to your music that you hear in Knock Loose, as opposed to like a fucking, I know this is different generations, but like a Quiet Riot or Motley Crue, how they're metal and respectfully can get oddly heavy at certain parts of their songs. But it adds a more upbeat, fun flair because they're just around fun shit. So you're a reflection of what you're a reflection of your environment and shit like that.
Yeah, I think once you can find, if you're in a lot of these places, so like so I think that's actually kind of where that Denny's clip, you remember that, you know, that Denny's clip from the hardcore band.
It's one of the greatest videos I've ever seen. It fills me with the most joy.
I think that's
one of the most,
exactly why, because I think it's saying exactly what you're saying is like them. It's like a band that's out there that's like, no, if you're in these rural areas and you find these other people, you can create your own scene, or and either attract the other people that think like you that are in surrounding rural areas that don't also have a scene, or create new fans. And like that's the thing of exposing people. Obviously, if you're in rural Kentucky or Indiana or any of these other places that there's not a lot going on or something like that, you before being more, even now, even with being exposed to these things, it doesn't necessarily it just means it's easier to find the source of it or the scene for you or something like that. But like one of the coolest things about that, like that's what I used to always think. And I think I remember it being discussed a lot more about like Slipknot, of them saying like, yeah, there's nothing to do. And if you happen to cross, or if they're of a generation where like they see like a Slayer video and they're like, wow, there's nothing like that around here, you find out first of all there is, or you create it yourself. And I think that's probably what happened with Slipknot, and it's only continued since then. So like it's really cool now to see. Still, you're seeing a lot of people that want to pursue these dreams, even if they're like good or bad. But now you're exposed to a lot better shit now, and a lot more scenes. It still doesn't mean it's accepted in your town. You know what I mean? Like there's still there's that show We're Here on HBO about the drag queens that go to like, they get a letter from like a young gay or a young something in the town, and they go like, hey, you know, I'm not feeling accepted in my town. And then they just pour it on. I mean, they go in there and they go like, hey, you guys don't like drag queens here? Well, guess what? 3 of the biggest, loudest drag queens. And it's just like, there's sometimes where I'm watching it and I go, hey man, this is kind of dangerous for you. It's like, so I never got that bad. Like in St. Pete or in Florida,
well, lucky for drag queens, half the time they're still jack dudes.
Right. Yeah.
So
they're a 7-foot person and without heels or whatever. Like, so it's not a matter of like fearing, like they're not scared. It's essentially like bully beat down meets that's essentially what this is. They just come in there, you don't like fucking drag queens, bitch. All right, I'm fucking what up? and then they do their thing. But it's kind of like it's like the same thing. It's like they're wearing out a trench of being accepted in this area, something like that. But they're in that case, they're just hyper. They're making it super fast or whatever. But over time, it takes time in these scenes. Like St. Pete, Florida was, for some reason, there was a weird issue that I always heard about where there was Nazis that always came to shows and fucked with people. But I feel like I never really saw skinheads at the shows. I never really saw, but there was something that I was always warned about. But other than that, it was a pretty accepting scene. There was like, it wasn't that bad where I grew up. So I had my outlet. I kind of just was able to just kind of go there, and I didn't really have to make my own thing. So maybe I could have been an amazing musician if I grew up in Kentucky or maybe somewhere in Oklahoma somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's a huge product. When did Slipknot put out Ohio?
Iowa. 2000 and I'm gonna guess 2004.
Oh, yeah, Iowa.
Was it 2004?
No.
Damn it.
Give you one other guess.
I'm gonna go 2005.
2001.
Damn it.
Yeah, I think damn, I'm curious about that because I wanna because there's a lot of fellas in Slipknot. I wonder if they just got lucky and they found, I don't know, where they had like a clown convention and they found all 10 of them were like, do you guys like metal music? Yeah. What?
Yeah. One guy went, and like there was like 7 of them, and then you hear a record scratch and go, what about me? You guys like record scratches?
There's a guy on a timpani and he's just like, are you guys talking about metal music?
You guys need a percussion an eighth of the time?
Dude, that'd be so funny. You're at Slipknot's at practice and they're just having a regular band with their DJ. They're like, this is good, but we need something. And then they look over in the other room and there's just like the fucking Twisted Metal clown. And he's like walking down. He's like, who ordered this keg? And Slipknot's like, get the fuck in here.
Yeah. Hey guys, I gotta get the softball practice. Where's your keg? Where do you want this keg you ordered?
And then he drops the keg and the bat hits it and Slipknot's like, that, what the fuck?
What's your name, friend? Do you want a concussion every show?
Can you play timpani?
Yeah.
Don't worry, we won't mic it up.
I mean, I prefer to do it with this baseball bat, but okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely happened.
Yeah, I gotta imagine it's like a lot easier for bands in those situations now this was how I was gonna tie it in because so when it comes to a lot of these predominantly like these genres that you would associate way more with America, like metalcore and shit like that. Like if if you say metalcore, you think about, American bands mostly. I've been noticing now I'm not like deep into it, but Japanese music really intrigues me because if you go and listen to it, it's all very similar. There's always like 75% of it that's you can hear like, okay, you guys, because apparently, I think around the world, from what I can tell, around the world, people usually shit on America or whatever. And it's like, it happens when you're the fucking top dog. But I think
they hate us because they ain't us, obviously.
Hey, are we the world's terrorist? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But we are also the fucking boys. We are the fucking boys. And, but no. Yeah. Sorry for being the best at bombing you guys. But no, I think in Japan they're actually kind of like hyped more or less on American culture, And so I'll see these bands, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, because I'll hear the range in all these Japanese bands, and I'll be like, oh, they're definitely like tapped in. They're definitely like tapped into the American music. But you then get this influx of like their culture because they're just tapped into the music. They're not tapped into like necessarily what's cool or not cool. They find American shit and they hear it and they go, oh, that's cool to me. And then they give it like their regional twist, and
Yeah.
it's always fun because it's almost like when you're looking at AI and then you notice the hands are a little weird, and you're like this feels like the thing I'm used to, but there's enough of it that's different that makes it feel different. And that's what I fuck with a lot with now I'm not like super deep into the genre or anything like that, but I've seen like there's this one Japanese metalcore band that I gotta figure out their name because they're bringing back on stage choreography, dude. They're bringing
nice.
it. Oh, dude, where they all headbang at the same time. Then right before the breakdown, they all hit a spin at the exact same time. They're bringing it back, dude. They go up on stage. They're all wearing black. It's a good fucking time.
There was oh yeah, here it is. Perfect. Awesome. There was a band, speaking of that, I wish I could is it no, it says Persian Metalheads. This is a weird thing. Japanese metal band Maximum the Hormone. That's a band that is I feel like I don't know exactly, like I think what you're talking about where they like take an influence that like they've heard from I don't know if this is where they're at. They're called a metal band, but they sound almost like a weird fucking crazy like Red Hot Chili Peppers. But they're all about the crazy imagery. And that's the thing that I always love about metal in general, whether it be like sludgy metal, like like a Tool style, like Drug Chug or something like that, or they could have, or something like speed metal or whatever. It's always like really cool imagery. And I think there's the band Maximum the Hormone. You don't have to necessarily play the song. I think that's the name of the band. I'm sorry. I'm
laughing because I love it.
This is the like legitimately, it's the video makes no sense. We could even probably play it with no music if you wanted to. And they are one of my favorite bands ever. I remember following them on Spotify, but I wish I had saved this clip. I'm going to actually save this now. But it's like their visuals and shit like that are so fucking crazy looking, and they rock so fucking dedicatedly hard doing it that for the most part there was a weird thing going on for a while with Japanese what was it, baby metal? That was a thing, right, for a while?
Oh yeah, that band Baby Metal, that pedophile.
Was it a band or was it a genre? Because that's what I thought. I always thought it was a genre. Look at this.
This is the band you're talking about.
Yeah, dude, they fucking
Maximum the Hormone.
Yeah. Does that come? Maybe.
It might. I think it's Mouthcom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're actually reminding me another part that really like got me hooked on, that got me like vibing. All right, that's just fun fella. That's just fella nonsense. That's just.
I think we found.
That's what I call a group of good time boys.
Found the artwork for this episode. But this is
what
this is. I said we just found the artwork for this episode.
Yeah, right. Oh, what I was gonna say is, you just reminded me, and with a lot of the Japanese bands is there is a much stronger. I feel like in America you saw this way more in the early 2000s, but then it kind of like drifted away. Where I feel like as a society we're shifting in a more like boohoo nihilistic place, but you still see it with a lot of these like Japanese bands. Is there's a heavy focus on the visual aesthetics of everything. Everything becomes very visually enticing.
Yeah, I think they have like all their videos like get even weirder than that. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a really cool, like you said, they have embraced the weirdness of it, but it does feel like delayed. It feels like it was probably like 2008, but it's with like nowadays technology. It's like those aesthetics with nowadays technology, and it's like, oh my god, they're doing it. It looks so cool now.
I'm so happy you just said delayed, because that coincides with the point. I found the band I was talking about earlier, and that concept of like delayed coincides with the point I was going to make. Because so this is the band, I saw them on fucking Instagram. They're called Sailing Before the Wind, and delayed is the best word for it, because this is from like 2018. But just like, I don't even have to play the music. You just look at this and you go like, oh, what 2005 band is this?
Yeah.
You know,
they're doing this thing. They're doing they're spinning. They're doing all the fun, like they're matching clothes.
Like they're doing, like they have all the straight hair. The guy's got the skinny jeans with the cuts in the knees, and bro, and they're all wearing black button downs. Like it's the most 2005 shit I've ever fucking seen, and it just makes me so hyped, because like they're a Japanese band. They just discovered this because look, okay, here we go, dude. The synchronize.
Yes, yeah.
They're gonna get yes.
Yeah.
They're the fucking boys, dude.
It's done right.
Here we go.
They like now. Oh man, look at this.
It's so good, dude.
Dude, this is incredible.
Yeah. The band is Sailing Before the Wind. And if you're listening on audio, just watch the video. It fucking rips.
It is the best choreographed headbanging. I don't even know. Yeah, I guess you choreograph it, I guess, but I mean,
it's technically choreographed, because they talked about they talked about it beforehand, and they said, we're gonna move this way. It's technically choreographed.
I wonder if it was. I wonder if this was a thought out thing. If this was a thing that they plan on doing, or if this is a thing that they did one show and they were like, "Hey, we should do that every show. That looked really fucking cool." You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm guessing they talked about it because it just feels so fucking metalcore. You know what I mean? It just seems. It seems like they watched a bunch of old videos of like The Devil Wears Prada, and they were like, "Oh, we're doing that. We're gonna do that."
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just it's fun too, because it's fun. I gotta be honest, it's fun watching. Like you ever hear the joke where you'll see like kids wearing a fucking whatever band, like an old band shirt, and then the joke is always like, name 3 songs, and you're like, guys, calm down. Because here's my thing. The more people, like, people get off on being like, I'm the only fucking guy who likes this and I'm cool. It's like, I have more fun the more people who like the same things as me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be annoying and be like, you have to like this. My thing is, but it's like, when you find out, like I was talking to my nephew and I found out he listens to like Killswitch Engage and things like that. My nephew's fucking 15. Like, that shit got me hyped as fuck. So to find out, and then also too, the name of the game is always like, the older generation's music is corny now. So to find out, like, I know it was like validating for me watching, first off, a bunch of these like screamos kind of low key coming back with some bands. You see all these bands now, and they clearly love the early 2000s metalcore. And then if you look, there is a very, very clear emo influence on a lot of like mainstream rap bands, rap groups and shit like that. So all that stuff. And then you got fucking, I know we shit on him a bunch, but you got like Machine Gun Kelly bringing back pop punk, and then a lot of these other people sort of see that, like fucking that Olivia Rodrigo, or however you say her name, Rodriguez, had to pay Paramore a bunch of money because she essentially stole Misery Business, and that's one of the biggest songs in the past couple years. So to me, it's like fucking validating to see that all the shit that I fucked with in high school is now becoming real exciting for all the kids. It's like, oh hell yeah, this stuff sort of, it's like I got made fun of it for so long when I was a kid. Now it's all it's showing that it kind of stands the test of time in a way.
Yeah, I think that it's like it's validation for being like somebody like being the fringe people in like growing up in the most tumultuous years of a person's life, like middle school / high school, is when we were people that were pretty heavily into not super popular music at the time. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like maybe maybe popular to some people, but not at least me in general. I was kind of any of the shirts that I wore, or any of the patches that I had in my bag, or the way I had my hair or something like that, there was like maybe a handful of people. Maybe. And I went to an art school. Dude, like I went to an art school and I was still the least accepted person in my school. So it's kind of like yeah, I know. It's like it's one of those things where you're like,
do you think it was more a personality thing?
Yeah, no, it's also because I threw up on everybody as soon as they started talking to me. It was kind of like that's my defense mechanism. It was either fart or shit, and I would go. Like,
I'm scared.
Hey, is this the library? And go, I just throw up on them. But other than that, I mean, I don't know why they call me Pukey Pat, but I mean, that's probably unrelated. I think that was unrelated.
That was probably for something else.
That was something else. But I like the only time like a lot of so a lot of that was nowadays. I mean, there's a fucking group for everybody. There's a group for everything, and it doesn't mean it just means now with the technology advances, with the I'd say cultural advances, but I mean we have some. There's been some cultural advances, some cultural, we've gone back on some things, but overall the spirit of a lot of the music that we listen to still exists. And like, so now to see new generations like kind of pick that shit up and start like giving it the respect that it deserves, that we felt it deserved our whole life, is that it's actually being paid that kind of respect. It's like, it's probably like how people that grew up in the 60s and 70s felt like with like Led Zeppelin getting, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and shit like that. Or when they get added to, and they're on like every top 10 classic rock list or something like that. It's like at the time when Led Zeppelin probably first started, they weren't maybe, or Kiss fans probably is a better example. Like diehard Kiss fans when they were young were like, this is the greatest fucking thing in the world. And people were like, I don't know. But now they have all this validation and shit like that with them being this iconic rock band that at the time where people were like making fun of them and shit like that. So I don't know. I think there's validation and there's things that you can get with, I guess those are two bands that were pretty popular even in the 70s and shit like that. But when you get more validation of like saying like, yeah, when you go to a Protest the Hero show or you go to something like that, there are other fans there. But if they were ever like inducted into a Hall of Fame, or they were nationally recognized, or they're on the cover of Rolling Stone or some shit, it doesn't matter to people like us, but it would still be cool to see them getting that national recognition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's gotta be something like that.
You know what but like this, just watching, I don't know. I go back and forth because sometimes I go, if you should be considered mentally disabled until you turn 25. Like sometimes I have extreme opinions like that. And then other times you're like, the youth are our future. We need to make sure they're good. But no, it's because like young people are pretty, I feel like, I don't want to like, I'm not trying to like shit on young people. I'm just trying to like, I think they're a very straightforward with the things they like. They're very straightforward. They don't have as much, the average young person isn't approaching something with as much, this is going to sound super pretentious, which I'll take it. I'll deal with the consequences, but like they don't approach things with nuance as someone who's older. And that's just on the sheer fact that like, you've done this so many times. You've seen the shit enough times that you're like, oh, I'm bored of that. I've seen that a million. Young people don't have that, so they approach things with less nuance. So it's more of a straightforward. It's like, just fucking give it to me. Let me know if it's, and I'll out of the gate be like, is this good or bad or whatever the fuck. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is when young people glob onto something, now there's always elements kind of like pushing people in certain directions. Young people are more susceptible on like what's cool and what's not cool. But in the sort of day and age that we're in now, I was watching this video where this dude was saying we're in less of a monoculture, where like back in the day when there was like, social media, and we were just watching TV, and the advertisers could sort of push the narrative in a certain direction more easily, and like we would all just go along with it. Like, everyone, like who's the biggest fucking pop star right now? Like, I don't fucking know. I know K-pop like makes the most money, but I couldn't tell you one K-pop person. Back in the day, if this was the 80s, you and me could never listen to K-pop, but if they were the most popular act, we'd know all their fucking names. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, we may not have listened to NSYNC, but if you're just a person going about your day, you know who the fuck NSYNC is. But I guess why it's a little bit more validating now, because we don't live in that type of monoculture anymore. Everyone's able to get like super specific. You were kind of saying this earlier. Everyone's able to get super specific on their shit. So it more becomes a thing of like, you're getting into stuff because you genuinely like it versus this is the thing that society is massively pushing on you. So when you see young kids organically just like getting into metalcore, you're almost sitting there like, yeah, I told you it wasn't fucking stupid.
That's the validation, and that's the why the validation from. So like it's really ironic too, because it's it's the same issue that we
isn't it?
Shut up. I'm gonna lose my point.
Your podcast.
I knew it. I did it. I won. No, I think it's the same issue. It's an ironic thing that you have where you get that validation from a young person who is saying, like, when we were younger, we were shouting that like, fucking, are you kidding me? Norma Jean fucking rules. And you're like, but you're still playing these smaller clubs, and you're like, we should be, I mean, fucking Metallica's playing in an arena. Why shouldn't Norma Jean or something like that, or any of that stuff? You get somewhat of that validation from when a younger generation is fucking with the shit that you were fucking with, because at that time you were also not being you felt like you weren't being heard. You feel like you were being overlooked. You felt inadequate. And over maturity, you mature over time. Not only will you not listen to the older people that are telling you you are right, because you're so focused on the people that are telling you you're wrong, that you're going to pick and choose that. So like so it's funny that you're like, yeah, I think it's awesome when you're like, I don't know what the fucking pop stars is. I don't know what the fucking youth are listening to, but boy, oh boy, when they like the shit I like, I'm listening. And I'm saying like, yeah, you're right. And it's like, we're doing the exact same thing to the youth that they were doing to us. But it's also like, yeah, that's how new shit is made, is you kind of overlook someone, you poo-poo someone's new thing that they're doing until it becomes undeniable. And that's how new art is made. It's a natural process, but we're also people that can be at least with maturity, or with over time, and with more experience, we're somebody that's like, oh shit, that's how it works. That's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. And not fight it. We're people, we're self-aware enough to go, I don't know who the fucking pop stars are, but they probably are doing whatever they're supposed to do. And we know the ones that we're supposed to use for references. We know the most popular one for a reference, and that's about it. So as long as we can stay relevant in that sense, I think we can still be somebody who helps with the artistic process. And I'm sorry.
That's a really
right now.
That's a really that's a super interesting point to bring up, because it's actually making, I've heard people make this point, and you kind of like inadvertently made it, where it's actually making stand-up kind of harder.
Yeah.
Because stand-up is a big part of stand-up is referencing things everyone knows about. And now you're like, oh, you have to like rework jokes, because you could, dude, I love bringing up the example. Like, there's YouTubers with like, who's the one dude, PewDiePie, who has like everyone subscribed to him, like an obscene amount of YouTube subscribers. But if you go to the average American, average person, and you go, what do you think about PewDiePie? They're going to go, what the fuck did you just say?
What now? What pie? What's this?
I could say confidently, yeah, I'm on his YouTube channel. 111 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And I could confidently say I could go to anyone above 40 and go, do you know who PewDiePie is? And they are going to 99% of the time go, who the fuck is that? And it's like,
the weird thing is I am familiar with who you speak of right now, but I could not pick this person out of a lineup if you paid me $1 million. I'd have no idea what the PewDiePie looks like. Unfortunately, I'm not one of the 111 million, but I am 100% familiar with the name and the celebrity attached to it. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy that I get that reference? Maybe it's because I'm somebody who feels it's necessary to be up on current references because I'm somebody who puts out content in 2023. But
it also might be because South Park did do an episode about him. That might have something to do with it.
I got to tell you, I haven't watched South Park in a while, and it's not because
really?
I don't like it. I just haven't. I didn't have cable for the longest time, so I didn't really have a way to watch it for a while. And then I just kind of
just got out of the loop.
Yeah, I'm like, if it's on or if I pop in, everybody always says, "Have you seen the latest?" And I'm like, yeah, you know,
bro. You know how like Simpsons fell off the hardest anything has ever fallen off?
Yeah, big time.
It is the polar opposite of that. South Park somehow still fucking hits.
Really?
And I'm not like here's what happens. Every South Park season is this. They're at a point where they're doing like 10 episodes every season, which is still a generous amount considering this day and age. This is what happens every South Park season. You usually have about 4 or 5 episodes that are pretty good, that like they're not the best, but they're still pretty good. You know, they're better than most other shows.
Yeah.
And then you usually have and then the other 5 fucking hit, and then about 3 of those 5 that hit really fucking hit.
3 of the 5 are like quotable ones that are like people are going to be talking. Yeah, see, that's my only thing. That's the way I feel out of the zeitgeist is people our age or friends in our generation that still watch South Park on a regular basis and reference it, and I don't know what they're talking about. And I feel like even kind of Family Guy, I like Family Guy still, but I always liked American Dad a little bit more. I always liked Futurama a little bit more than Simpsons because I felt like both of those were what you're talking about, where like instead of after a while kind of coming into this weird routine, they improved and got better. Like American Dad got better every fucking season. It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, Futurama fell off on their Comedy Central seasons because they were on Fox.
Yeah,
they were on Fox for a while, and they just lost momentum. But actually, I gotta give them props. This new season that just came out on Hulu, I only watched about 3 episodes of it. Really good. I'll give a few. Really good.
They're it's back to where it's like such incredible fucking writing for they do not have to be this good at writing. And that's what I was saying about American Dad or any of that stuff. It's like, so I guess you're right. I guess I have to accept the fact that South Park is not one of the shows that fell off. I just fell off the South Park train essentially. So that's what it is. But like you said, like you brought up the point of like, to stay culturally relative, you kind of have to choose a lane to be culturally relative down, because you can't do it with everything like we used to. We can't be like, oh yeah, I know Mace and Puff Daddy and also Blink-182 and also Britney Spears and NSYNC. Like they were all in one place for us. They were all kind of all the popular music of those different genres. Every reference you needed was brought to you right there. And then, but like nowadays it's so splintered, which is a good thing. Ultimately, it gives more opportunities to more people, but it changes the outcome of what, like, I don't know. And I don't know this for sure. And I might be just partial or I might be crazy, but I feel like Shane might be the last like major comedian like that everybody knows in every group. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and still, I don't even know if every group necessarily, but like, think about that. Like he's the last. I mean, he is the most recent for sure, but I think he might be the last one that might be able to do that because of that very reason. And I'm not saying there won't be other comedians that come, but I'm saying like,
no, that's a really interesting point. I don't think he'll be the last, but I think it'll get. I actually think it kind of shows how talented he is, because he's like when it comes to comedians, Yeah, he's a guy who just fucking, you just talk to most people now and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I know Shane.
There's really only one. There's really only one personality type that doesn't like him, but really, like tons of culturally, he does kind of he like he's performing overseas and shit like that.
Yeah, and it's like a real testament to how it's a real testament to how fucking talented he is, because how everyone can be in their own fucking thing. He's able to like break through and just be on everyone's radar. It's definitely, you're going to have someone that fucking body Shane to really be the next version of that, because it's not like we're going back to fucking three channels and shit like that. We're not going back. It's only going to splinter out to more options. So,
and that's the thing is
that's a really interesting point, Pat. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, where you brought up the fact that he's the last one that was able to navigate all of those things to kind of hit that mass appeal or even disgust. I mean, honestly, it sounds weird to say, but like every single person knows who he is, whether you like him or not. Like you literally, it's crazy to know how much of a reach he has. And you're right to speaking about how talented he is and is able to breach all of those different cultures in whether it be positive or negative. The thing that makes what comedy is an art, if it's an art form at all, which it is, it's an art form, it's a performance art, is to elicit a reaction, whether good or bad. That's what makes it art, is you elicit a reaction with your art. So he is one of the most prolific artists of our time. It's crazy. That's nuts, right? Isn't that fucking crazy that you can that Shane is one of the most prolific artists? It's fucking crazy. Isn't that crazy that's the appeal. That's the touch, and that's the approach that you need to have going forward. Of, if I'm familiar with it, cool. Like, but you got to pick your lane and you just got to go down it. And that will.
Shane also has the benefit of the fact that like everything, I don't know, everything just feels like someone's trying to fuck you on it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there's just more of a sense that like everything you do now, there's just this sense that you're like, oh, you're not giving me the whole story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I ruined basketball for me because I watched too many documentaries about how it's super easy for the refs to rig a game and stuff like that.
Did you see the most recent?
And then you watch what?
I was gonna say, speaking of that, did you see the most recent, or not most recent, but like it was like week 1 or 2 of the NFL season recently, where it was something about the spread. I feel like I wanted to talk to you about it when it happened, but it was like, I think it was LA and another team, and like they were down by like 10, and it was like there was like 4 seconds left in the game, and instead of just trying to go for a touchdown, like you're not going to win the game anyway, but instead of just trying for a touchdown, they kicked a field goal, which made it so that they covered the spread. But I can't remember exactly the rules of gambling, but essentially how it was like, it was really shady, where it was like, wait a minute, did you get a call from like the ref or something like that? Looks like he says something to the player he's handing the ball to, and then they just line up for a fucking field goal instead of, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like, it was like, so you're right. Yeah, it is kind of, it ruins it for a while, especially and with MMA and judging recently, where like, and then what the fuck are you watching? What are you watching? That's what.
And then like you see stuff like the fucking what was it? What's the new one where they hired some fucking dippy bitch to be like, all this shit fucking sucks. The Snow White. You know what I mean?
Huh?
Yeah, the chick they like hired to play like Snow White is just doing all of her fucking goofy fucking, you know, capitalism is bad, and you're like, bitch, you're in a fucking Snow White movie. Shut up. Like, just stop. Like, can we just not do the fucking gay shit all the time? And so it always feels like there's always something lying underneath that is like, no, this actually is fucking stupid or whatever the fuck. And then when you see shit with like how Shane does his shit, you're almost like, no, I feel like what he's given me is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, and when you watch Gillian Keefe, you're like, it doesn't feel like they're trying to shoehorn some shit in. They're just, here's a funny fucking sketch. You know what I mean? That's how yeah, and I think that's a huge, like, obviously, like, he's super talented and all this stuff, but I think like just an addition onto everything else. I think that's a big part of it, is not just that he's one of the funniest motherfuckers ever and all the shit that they do is like, you know, they have a great podcast, all that stuff. I think another layer to that is a lot of people just go, oh, this doesn't feel bogged down with extra bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think people... Yeah, I think people really enjoy that. But yeah, I think this was a good episode. We actually talked about music. If you're listening to, I am actually gonna. So I threw an intro on this. I already talked about it. We're gonna re-upload this. So this next part was the first half that we recorded, where we talked way too much about not music at all. But if you guys like us,
talking about Metallica.
You know what? We did talk about Metallica for a second, but if you guys like us, you might enjoy this next half of the podcast. So thank you for hanging out with us. We love you all. Be about it. Peace. So Pat, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the. Stop.
Sorry, I'm on a delay. What?
Stop. I read a book about ADHD, and I learned I have a unique brain, and this is the only speed I can run at, Pat.
Okay.
Dude. I learned why I'm so fucking gay. Welcome to a brand new episode of Drag the Lake. Who the fuck does show prep? Not us, because we're that fucking locked in. When you're the fucking man and you're the other fucking man and you come together and do a fucking double dude, double rude, extra fucking crispy podcast, you don't need to do fucking show prep. But Pat, the most important question on the docket, how the fuck are you doing today, you fucking son of a bitch?
Better now that I got my vape pen working, friend.
Better now that I have my drugs. Yay!
I had the dry drugs and I needed a little bit of the wet drugs to even me out a little bit.
Don't talk to me until I have my morning weed.
And I got my I'm breaking in my brand new microphone. How's it sound?
Dude, I'll break in your back. That sounds really good.
Nice. Hell yeah. As long as it. Oh, and also we got somebody in the chat. How the fuck?
Dude, I got it. Don't you do your thing. They need to know that they're a second thought. No, I'm just kidding. Thirsty Dursty. How the freaking heck are you guys? We're freaking good. I've got a lot of coffee. I hit a new PR while listening to an audiobook. Pat has his drugs. We're in a good fucking mood. It's Sober October, boys. For you.
Fuck off with that shit. Hell no. I'm coming next month too. I don't give a shit. I don't.
Oh, dude, I'm coming more.
Yeah, I'm double coming. I'm double coming super high this month, and then I'm gonna double come next. It's a double come November. That's mine.
Drag the Lake. You'll find that it's full of love. Yes, you will. Yes, you fucking will. And there's Derek in the mix. Let's go, boys. I added the boys. He didn't. For the audio listeners, Derek did not say boys. I added that. I took artistic license on.
He didn't want to gender us, and I.
What?
He didn't want to gender us, but guess what? We identify as fucking boys.
Hey, liberals. Newsflash. Genders, fucking two of them. Catch up.
We are of the mindset of kindergarten cop here. Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Yeah, shouldn't be controversial. Yeah. Hey, thy art is murder. Sack up.
Yeah.
Yo, actually, I posted a video about this, but I'll say it again. I love the comments. Please comment on videos. There's because there's two types of. Wait, let me pull up the YouTube. There's two types of comments that I love. There is this one on our Thy Art is Murder video where there's the informative comments like this where the guy goes, it's crazy to me that most of Thy Art's lyrics are about like anti-fascism government shit, following the herd, being a sheep. They literally have a song that says this isn't culture, this is mind control, talking about social media, cell phones and shit, kind of, and he's like basically breaking down how that Thy Art Is Murder is being like hypocrites and stuff like that. And as, two dudes who aren't like tapped into Thy Art Is Murder, that's like that's good information to get. And then you see comments like this on the Rick Rubin video, which this one made me laugh. This guy just goes, 231 views. Put this off YouTube. And you're like, what?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you when you brought up comments, and I was like, yeah, all of them are usually, for the most part, I mean, negative or positive. It's okay. I don't mind if you don't like what we say. I don't mind if we're not good at what we do, or in your opinion, whatever. But like, there's certain ones where I'm like,
good thing you said, in your opinion, we are great at what we do.
Yeah, exactly. If you can be wrong too. I mean, who gives a shit? But if there's a matter of like where I don't know if you're complimenting or if you're negging us or if it's a joke or what. How many times
whoa, whatting us? What? Wait,
neg,
what?
E.G.
I thought you were cool. Whatever. Cancel culture must have got you, dude.
Sorry, I'm not that brash yet. But I still feel like there's certain times where I'll forward you a comment and be like, I literally don't know how to respond to this because I don't know to say fuck you or you got me. Good joke.
Well, the best thing about that is if they're commenting on our videos, we are their God. So we don't have to do anything. They're peasants. You're commenting on you're in my kingdom. You're asking for bread and water in my fucking kingdom. And I can decide. I am the judge, jury, and executioner, and I don't have to talk to you if I don't want to.
I did go through our Taylor Swift video comments, and I did thumb down the ones that had the most thumbs up.
Let's go, dude.
Because I'm like, hey, I am a what is it? An agent of chaos. I'm here to disrupt, but I'm also here to learn. So if you guys constructive criticism, it's also welcome. But
no. If you just have extra info, if you have any criticism, go watch another podcast. I don't want to hear it. I want compliments and nothing else.
So the implication of the Rick Rubin comment was it's only 230 views, so it should be taken off because it's not producing well, or is it because it's too hot? I don't understand.
I don't know. I never understood. Like, we got into this on the last episode of Panties because we were like debating hip hop and stuff, and like Lemaire and Nate were having this discussion between like who's better, Lupe Fiasco or Big Sean, and I was like, that's like it's such a hard conversation to have because like Lupe Fiasco, I don't know how familiar you are with those guys, Pat, but like Lupe Fiasco is for like the super conscious, like loves over the top wordplay, shit like that, like super duper fucking heady, like next level fucking 3D chess type lyrics. And then Big Sean music is, sort of like high end party music. They're both good, but it's like, I don't like to compare it to you. It's like trying to be like, who's better, NoFX or Paramore? And you're like, they're not the like they do similar things. They do similar things, but they're not it's a hard one to like debate and shit like that. And then, but Lemaire kept throwing out this point where he's like, Big Sean does bigger numbers than Lupe. And I was like, that's not like obviously if no one's paying attention to you, you can't just be like, oh, you're the fucking best. But like, that's not like just purely, it's an element, but purely off of like listens and downloads and plays and sales. It's not necessarily the barometer of like what's good or what's bad. It definitely weighs into, but you were talking about Taylor Swift. Derek has the opinion that Taylor Swift is evil incarnate. I don't know about all that, but hey man, Derek.
The more people push Taylor Swift, the more I'm pushing against. It really is happening because now it's getting into the zeitgeist with the what's his face, the Travis Kelce. Yeah, him and her are dating, and he's like, man, he's so lucky. And it's just like, all right, she's an okay looking lady. She's pretty. She's a pretty lady who sings well. Like, stop. The more it's she's goated, the more I'm like, come on, stop. Please stop.
But that goes back to like the Rick and Morty problem, which it's actually, this isn't a perfect analysis because Rick and Morty's really good and Taylor Swift, we talked about before, mid as hell. And you know what? She's probably not. She seems like a nice lady. I'm not saying this to like attack her person. I'm not saying this to like attack her personally or anything. But like the Rick and Morty thing, Rick and Morty's one of the best shows ever. Rick and Morty fans, annoying as fuck. And so I think a lot of times people are. It's hard to sort of distinguish the two. And I realize that like I got no beef with Rick and Morty. I don't think they should have fired the guy. I'm glad he did that. No, I'm kidding. Did you hear about their guy? He got canceled because he was like grooming children. I'm kidding. No.
Hey, honestly, strike one. I mean, like give him a chance. Jeez, guys.
Who hasn't groomed a teenager? Who hasn't groomed a teenager and trafficked them?
Make mistakes, okay?
people make sexy mistakes. No.
You never ran a red light?
What?
You never ran a red light?
Is that the code? Is that like the FBI code? Like pizza and hot dogs mean kids?
I look at laws like sin.
They're like, we're going to go run a red light to get some hot dogs. If you know what I mean.
There was an emergency, officer.
Oh, but the point I was making originally is like, yeah, Rick and Morty's a great fucking show. Their fans are fucking ass, and you have to do a good job of making the distinction between fans and the actual artist. So like Taylor Swift, I got no personal beef, but like these people are fucking exhausting. But to bring it back to this guy though, it just makes me laugh. Like it always just makes me laugh. Like your video, that's like there's this rapper Dave East was getting shit a while ago. And you know people are responding emotionally because they'll have such a weak argument. When Lil Nas X came out and he was basically shitting on Old Country Road because he's like, this song fucking stinks, which I have actually enjoyed a lot of the stuff Lil Nas X has put out. Now, you know me, Pat, as a born-again Christian, I don't like the fact that he's twerking on the devil. That's just not, That's just no good. That's just bad business in my book.
You don't want your children seeing that, right?
No, I do not want my children seeing that, y'all. But I will say this, like those songs are kind of catchy and shit, but I will say this, Old Town Road sucks ass. It's not a good song, and Dave East was not wrong, but all these people were like, oh, you don't like Old Town Road? Or whatever the fucking song's called. You don't like Old Town Road? How many #1 singles have you had? And you're like, that's not the fucking argument. That's actually it's like an interesting conversation to fucking have too, because there is this weird thing where it's like we all kind of agree that the best shit isn't the most popular shit. It's the stuff a little bit below the most popular shit. Like who's like the biggest metal band right now? Whoever, like, let's look that up. Who are the most popular metal bands?
Like new metal, or are you talking about just like, I would say Metallica, because they're doing those fucking arena tours, like two stadiums a night or 2 stadiums a town or something like that. They're doing 2 nights in each town, and they're doing completely different sets, and they're probably selling out both shows.
Yeah,
I would have to say at the moment, surprisingly enough, and even with have you seen some of the Lars playing drum, like him, his flubs on drums and his fills?
Dude, it's his entire career.
Yeah,
he's like known for that, like fucking up constantly live.
Yeah, Metallica songs, and he's in Metallica. But I would say,
and I'll be honest, not to interrupt you. Like Metallica songs aren't, like, for a proficient drummer, aren't crazy hard to play. And then add on top of that, you're their drummer. And you been their drummer.
Song. You wrote the fucking song.
You've been the drummer the whole time. It's so right. I wonder if there's some other fucking thing that just makes him fucking tarred out every couple minutes.
Yeah, I would say for them, I would say it's Metallica is the biggest, most popular metal band at the moment. But as far as like let's say just under that, what's the, so this is the thing, is like when you go to a town, you're not going to be like, hey, what's the best Domino's around here? You're going to be like, what's the best pizza around here? What's the local pizza in this area? And I think this is kind of the same idea of like, yes, you know that Metallica is Domino's, but what's the artisan place, you know what I mean? What's the niche? And I think it's like Knock Loose or something like that, but they're more hardcore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, no, like I brought this comment up because BNA says the best metal band right now is Spirit Box. In my opinion, they're definitely one of the most popular band. Like they're one of the most popular metal bands, and they're actually, from my perspective, they're a good band to throw out in this conversation because to me, Spirit Box is like tonally they're really good. Courtney LeBron, however the fuck you say her last name, she's a really good singer, but just as a whole, from my perspective, the fuck was it? Oh, my ESPN app. From my perspective, they're just like they're pretty good, but then if you really want a good fucking band, to go back to what I was saying before, where it's like the really good shit is always right under the most popular shit, and that would go back to like fucking Knock Loose and stuff like that.
Well, and it's also it's kind of like, so when I went to see Slayer in at the Hard Rock in Orlando, it was fucking awesome, and the show was like, the lineup was killer, and at the time I wasn't so much proficient in like, and I guess they were kind of newer at the time maybe, but like the bands that opened for them were Mastodon and Killswitch Engage.
Nice.
And I was like, I think that was the first time I saw Killswitch Engage live, or I think it might have been the first time I had heard them, and I instantly became a fan when he did like a double fuck. Dude, I'm telling you, I have seen some of the best acrobatics. Remember when I was trying to tell you about that Bleeding Through clip that I swear to God exists, of him doing like a double like front somersault across the stage? I swear to God, I saw the lead singer of Killswitch Engage at the time do it, when it was the buff black guy. It was like prime Killswitch in my opinion.
Who's their lead singer now?
I think it's the guy from All Shall Perish. It was the old honestly, last I checked in, it was the old lead singer of, it's something with All Shall Perish. I think All Shall Perish, their lead singer went to Killswitch Engage, or they swapped, or the original, right? Is that what it is? How what's the order? They did some kind of weird swap-a-doo.
I have no clue. I just typed in Killswitch Engage, and it all just looks like white dudes that could be my cousins.
Yeah. So I think it's they
got rid of the black guy.
Yeah. But
he's still got like the best voice in metal.
It was incredible. That dude there, when it was in Darkness Falls, I think that was the name of it. That song, their hit, they're like one that was on like the Resident Evil soundtrack and shit. It's still on my playlist. That is an undeniable fucking banger. And I won about them without Slayer. So maybe sometimes these older metal bands, if they take on not necessarily brand new, but like these guys that are ready to fucking, and I don't even know where
wait
in their career at the time. What?
Wait, guys that are ready to what? What was the point you were making? I got lost.
To go like the bands that were on the like to get to that iconic.
Oh, level. The bands are bringing them on tour with them. Got you. I was my mind was wandering. I got lost on what you were saying.
Well,
I was thinking of my favorite Killswitch song. So in my head, I was like, I was just doing that in my head. I was like, "What's this?" And then I looked at this screen. I go, "What's this guy talking about?" I'm over here singing Killswitch.
Who's this fucking guy talking? No,
who the fuck are you?
No, I think that I like how you were saying, like you can look at the best place and then right underneath the next place. Sometimes literally Metallica may bring on a metal band that isn't necessarily as popular as them, but is getting exposed to their audience, and they're like, damn, these guys are good. Who are these guys? Killswitch Engage? Never heard of these guys. And then like, oh my God, African American singing metal.
Come on, give metal fans more credit than that.
Slayer fans in Florida, Andy?
Yeah, dude, really? You're listening to fucking Raining Blood and you're you're closed-minded? Nah, dude, you gotta accept a lot in your world to jam out to Raining Blood, dude.
Yeah. There's a lot of redneck Satanists in Florida for sure, but it's usually drug induced. If it's Slayer, it's Slayer just because they like fucking Slayer.
Even Satanists, dude, they don't care what the color of your skin is. They just want to know that you will eat the baby with them.
Are you going to drink this baby's blood or not? I mean, come on. I can't finish this whole thing. I ordered this for the table.
I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, purple. We're eating babies.
You finish your blood or you ain't getting no dessert, all right? That's the Florida Southern voice. All right.
What's the other Florida word? They say like jit. Isn't that a Florida thing?
No, they say other stuff, and I can't really say on here because we probably get kicked off.
No.
Jit.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say jit is a Florida thing.
I never heard that.
Well, you don't hang around with cool people.
No, that's true. I mean, look at where we're at. The only cool people here are over there in the chat.
We're in different rooms. You fucking piece of shit. The term in slang jit is a noun, and it was originated and popularized in southern Florida. A jit is a young gangster or a juvenile in training.
Yeah. I'm from Central Florida, dumbass.
Yeah. Yeah. You fucking stupid not.
I'm from where the theme parks and all the drugs are, okay? Where there's nothing to do except go to that one fucking town. Boo!
12 Roots had a good comment about what we were saying earlier. He's like, you hate politicians. How many years have you been in office? That's also a good way, like the structuring of what he just said. That is also like a really good way for a dumb person to counteract your point. Where like, well, you didn't do this exact thing your entire life. How could you possibly know? And you're like, I don't know. How the fuck does Neil deGrasse Tyson know how a black hole works?
Yeah.
You know, it's like the dickhead's never been inside one. You know what I mean? Like you can you can be a intelligent adult and ballpark it. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to live the exact experience to just be an adult and ballpark what the shit is.
That's why the term is known as educated guess. It's an educated guess because you're not just going, I don't know, potatoes. You're going, process of elimination, this. It's probably this. And also too, you're right.
And also too, there's times where people who are in the middle of the shit aren't gonna have the most unbiased opinion on something. Like, you know, me, I'm a very pro-gun guy. And then they were, after the fucking Parkland shooting happened, they were having a town hall with the kids, and they were like, hey, you just were in the middle of a school shooting a week ago. How do you feel about guns? You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know if a kid who got traumatized a week ago should be on TV talking about gun control and shit like that. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always. Yeah, it's not always that kind of experience. It's like it's more of, what do you think should be done about? I mean, even in that sense, like it's kind of like one of those things of like, I feel like it is a good perspective to have shared with you, because you know what I mean. Like there's still experience in that, but there's also like, I don't think you should be writing policy or like giving a speech.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like then you're just doing the same thing that everybody else is trying to do, and you're exploiting shit to win your argument.
100 and all.
That's not
and
fair.
If you just look at human history, people have been wrong for most of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
People have been, that's why I always get, like, especially too at this point, I don't know. Like, it's like, I feel like I know too much now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you like,
ignorance is bliss.
You know, it's like, you know too much, and then it's like whenever I talk to someone who's just speaking confidently about an issue, I'm like, how the fuck do you even know? And then you'll look at some shit where like something will happen in the news, and you know, you read 6 articles and you get like fucking 4 different fucking perspectives on it. Like, perfect example. Like when I did a joke about it the other night, but like when the Rittenhouse thing happens, like literally, depending on where you're getting your news from, you get a entirely different story. And it's hard to tell which is the real story. And then you take that information and then you extrapolate it. Like, I was listening to this autobiography about fucking Abraham Lincoln. Or no, not Abraham Lincoln. Ben Franklin. And dude, it's so funny when you read these autobiographies, because or when you read historical shit or you watch like a historical documentary about the guy who's the expert on this guy, and they always come off like such a fucking cuck. They always come off like such a fucking pussy because they're like the dude writing the preface for Ben Franklin's autobiography, like the new edition or whatever. The whole time he's just like, all right, Ben Franklin, he was the cutest boy. He had the biggest arms, and I'm sure his pee-pee was nice and long, and he's just being like, bro, he was so fucking smart, and you're just like, bro, I've lived through enough shit in my life to know that you can't possibly know this or be 100% right. So yeah, anyone speaking confidently on anything, I don't know. Most of this world is just opinions at this point. I got off on a little rant. How you doing, Pat?
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of rants, you went hard on you got a real sorry, I misspoke. You got a really big hard on for religion at the after the show. And I remember thinking,
when we were talking about religion.
Yeah. Well, when you were talking about like you joked about that kid's mom being hot, and like in the fact that you're like how tough that is for kids nowadays to deal with moms, OnlyFans and shit like that, and blah blah blah. But I feel like the whole thing with like with any, god damn it, I lost my original point.
Religion.
You were saying about but it's basically how people, as I get older and the more I learn about like how most of these religions and everything think, it's so crazy to me that it's like, okay, so you're all reading the same book, but because you interpret things, you are interpreting things, or somebody down the road interpreted it just a little bit differently. You have to have a whole different building from these people, and you don't like those people, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, because that's where how you interpret it, you ballpark it, you go, well, Jehovah's Witnesses are the worst with this shit because they change their rules every other fucking year. And it's because I swear to God, they changed from smoking to not smoking because whoever was in charge at that time probably quit smoking and was like, I'm tired of seeing everybody fucking smoking. I need to quit. And just made everybody else quit because it seems irrational. They have predicted the end of the world multiple times, and they still have followers running around like dickheads going like, hey, so before we had it wrong, but now we know it's going to be next September. So have you heard the good word? You know what I mean?
So like, this is why I know we were joking around saying like, oh, you found God and stuff, but this is actually why I've been intrigued with religion, because I was like, I always think about like the best ways to structure society and stuff, because like the older I get, I'm always just like, it just keeps getting worse. You know, just generally speaking. And I know people will have these arguments, like they were trying to rat on Oliver Anthony to be like, oh, is it really that hard? You have a nice camera. And you're like, yes. You know what? He is able to buy a 4K camera, which actually he didn't buy, but you know what? Someone's able to buy a 4K camera who also doesn't have money to buy other shit. You're right. The economy is perfect. You know what I mean? It's like, just because things, you know what I mean? Like, just because my PlayStation would make someone's head explode from the 1970s doesn't mean like things are good on the whole.
Yeah.
So I always get intrigued. I'm like, what's the fuck? Because that's where like the conspiratorial part of your brain starts running a little bit wild, where you're like, it feels like there's just natural interjection to just not let things get better. Because from my perspective, like the libertarian shit, the Austrian economic shit, I look at that and I go, that's just like the fucking game plan to make everything less fucking stupid. But then it always feels like there's an outside force pushing things into being just sucking more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I always get like obsessed with that. And then like the other part of me gets intrigued where like people always shit on the Bible, but then if you really look at it, you're like, that book's old as fuck and people are still being like, yo, bars. And people are still looking at the Bible as like, yo, this shit still fucking hits, dude. And I'm like, why is that? You know what I mean? Because you don't just, something isn't just the most popular book because it's got like the best PR department. Actually, bringing it back to the Oliver Anthony thing, like with the Oliver Anthony thing, people were going like, oh, he just got a push. And it's like, yeah, it starts with a push, but then you got to keep going off your shit. So I was like looking at the Bible and stuff, and I was like, wait, let's go. Because my whole thing was like, I always like, I was like, religion's not that bad. They, you know, they have certain parts where they're like kind of fucking mean to gay people where you're like, yeah, don't do that part. But it's, you know, every religious person I meet is like a nice person. They're always just like a little weird, but they're a nice person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I start looking at it a little bit differently, and I go, well, wait, what if you look at the Bible and just don't take it literally? You know what I mean? Because I was hearing someone talk about how like the Lord of the Rings is like an allegory for shit in the Bible, or so is what's the cupboard
Harry
one?
Potter. Oh
no, Harry Potter.
Yeah, I've heard. Well, I've heard. I mean, because it's just basically it's just storytelling. Like it's called the good book because it's just a story that's like compelling to people. It's like the first time people lied. It's like the first time people lied in a book, and we're going to use analogies to give you and storytelling to teach lessons, and people were like, "What? What?
That's funny. That's
You're
funny.
gonna do that?" They're like,
that's a funny way to. That's a funny way to put it. Oh, so I'm looking at the Bible, like, yo, like, what if you looked at this but didn't take it literally, just took it as like how the Lord of the Rings or the what's the fucking other one with the big lion? Narnia, yeah. If you look at like the Lord of the Rings or Narnia, that's just a dude who was fucking gassed up on God and then wrote a story and it had like similar values.
He's like, this needs more polar bears.
And then you look at the fucking Bible like that. Like, what if you just look at it like, oh, this is, and you're like, oh, and then you realize you're like, oh, the Bible's just the most ancient self-help book.
Yeah, it's just like, again, it's just the best method of lesson learning and storytelling. And it's used in a very compelling way. It's like, oh my God, the whole earth flooded? And they're like, yeah.
Because that's what everyone always.
Yeah, totally.
and then it makes people, well, because that's where like organized religion, in my opinion, gets like fucked up and stuff, because they go about it being like, yo, no, this shit actually fucking happened. And you're like, well, that's where you're kind of like, because like going back to what I was saying earlier, process of elimination, all this other shit, you're like, it probably didn't. Because the funniest part, so this is what I was getting to. So I was like, I've been obsessed with that. So I said, fuck it. And I just went to Barnes and Noble and I got one. Funny enough.
Out of all the books on tape that you could read, you didn't pick the Bible, the book on tape. You're going to read the Bible.
Oh. I also, don't be a fucking jerk. I'm fucking trying to learn. Don't be a fucking. I'm saying, no, you're being nasty, dude. No. I also got this comic book Preacher. But
I mean, I'm just saying.
What?
I'm saying projecting.
What? Some horse shit?
No, I'm projecting. I'm saying that even shit that I'm super duper interested in, and I know you deal with the same shit because we fucking talked about it, is the fact that even things that you love, you can't necessarily stay connected to. So I'm saying reading a physical Bible might be a little bit. Plus, which one did you get? Did you get?
I got the King James, dude.
New Testament? You're only going to read New Testament, not Old Testament?
Dude, fucking, you don't know what you're talking about. I got all the Testaments.
Are you going to listen to Testament?
I'm going to listen to Testament while I read the Bible, dude.
I'm not doubting your reading skills. I'm doubting reading the Bible being something that you're going to be like, nice. Yeah, I'm into this.
No, I'm not saying I'm going to be like, nice. I'm just going to be like, yo, what's this about, dude? I just want the fuck. Because that's the thing. Like, I get obsessed with one thing. Here's the thing. I think socialism and communism and all that stuff is fucking ass. But I know a shitload about it because it intrigues me. I might read this book and go, yo, the Bible's ass. But I want to know, you know what I mean? It's like, why you read anything? You want to know what the fuck's in there. But dude, so this was funny too. You were saying Jehovah's Witness. This is why I wanted to bring any of this fucking up. Cause I'm standing there, I'm looking at it, and this is why I realized like I don't really like fuck with organized religion like that, because it's fucking annoying. But I think the vibe I get is any of these books, you go to the fucking Bible, you go to the fucking Torah, whatever the Buddhists got. What is what are the Muslims?
Bhagavad Gita, something like that. I can't remember.
Baklava does sound good right about now, but we're talking about religion. Sorry,
Waka.
I'm up. Sorry, dude. I'm just vibing out with my fucking boomer ass jokes over here.
I like it.
But wait, what do the Muslims read?
The Quran.
Quran, that's right. And Madonna.
I gotta remember the sentence. Local politician threatens to burn Quran. That's what it was. Quran. That's what. That happens every politician, every election year. There's going to be guy that's going to be like, yeah, you know what? But maybe I'll just try to I'll draw crayon pictures inside this Quran and get a couple clicks.
There was a funny thing when they were doing the Drawn Muhammad contest, and then some in fucking Texas, and some dude was like, no, and he like showed up, and then Texas was like, dog, it's Texas, and then they shot him. Yeah, I get moral of the story. You can draw the Quran in Texas, or you can draw Muhammad in Texas.
Yeah, you can do anything.
So like, I'm just curious about this shit, and then I buy I'm standing there looking at the Bibles, and which, by the way, all the Bibles, real done up. They nice, and they got the leather, and all the pages are super soft and shit, dude. And then I'm standing there, and some dude in a tie just walks up. He's just like, yeah, like fucking on fucking.
Like as soon as you touch it.
Like I was standing there for like 2 minutes looking at fucking Bibles. And this dude, the best part too, I'm in like my shorts and I'm wearing my Every Time I Die shirt and shit like that. And I got my beanie on. Like I look like I'm going to buy one of these to burn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm standing there and then he walks up and he's like, hey, you looking to buy a Bible? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, really? And he goes, can I ask you a question? I'm like, sure, dude. He's like, can I ask you a question? He's like, don't you think these Bibles should be free? Like, do you think they should be charging for these Bibles? And I say this to him. I go, I don't know, dude.
Wrong tree, brother.
Yeah, I go, I don't know, dude. I'm buying this for autistic reasons. Chill.
I'm looking for the one that's going to be easiest to read. I don't give a shit. I could just go to a hotel. You're right, and steal one if I wanted to, but
I'm gonna book a room so I can get a Bible.
But literally, leave me.
But yeah, he goes, yeah, and then I go, and then he just goes, I can give you a free one if you want. And I immediately shift my fucking I'm just like, don't talk to me. I just stopped talking after that.
I thought you went like, I'm listening.
No, he's like over here, and what he said that I just kind of like shifted to be like, I'm not talking to you anymore. Please get away from me, dude. And then then I walked. What?
So you bought that, or did you steal it? That would be even better.
Nah, dude, you can't do that. You can't steal a Bible. That's fucked up.
You're right. You're right. This should be free. Pop this under your shirt real quick. Go ahead and pop this right in your pants, bud.
Oh, dude, that'd be so funny too. Where you're like, you're right. This should be free, and I put the Bible in his shirt, and I just go, "This guy's stealing Bibles.
This guy's stealing Bible. He said it should be free."
Bible thief.
So was he? Do you think he was? So I thought you were bringing up Jehovah's Witnesses because maybe you had another clip of, instead of a table, somebody throwing a door. That's what they bring to hardcore shows. They bring a door into the pit and they throw it at somebody.
No, so it was funny, and I'm like walking around, and it was just so ironic because the dude's getting the wrong impression of me buying a Bible because I'm also buying that comic book Preacher, which is like not very chill for those people. And then the dude finds me later in the fucking Barnes and Noble, and he's just like, hey, I wasn't trying to bother you, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like does this whole spiel, and then he hands me a pamphlet, and I was like, have a great day, dude. And I text Steph about it. I show her a picture of the pamphlet, and she was just like, oh, that dude was a Jehovah's Witness. And I go, oh, dude, they tried to fucking kidnap me.
Yeah, go back outside, you fucking loser. Go back outside and go walk to door and risk it yourself, you dorks. Because you can't just sit here and because they started doing that shit where they just post up like Girl Scouts now, and like now you're just walking on a public street and they're just like, hey, It's like, leave me the fuck alone. And they're the nicest people in the world. And you never want to be like, leave me the fuck alone. But legitimately, like going up to somebody and offering them, it's so presumptuous because religious people, in my personal list of opinions, from my experience, every time I've talked to a religious person, their outlook is, oh, you just don't understand. And it's like, it's the most condescending thing of like, I can help you. I know, guys, I know the secret. And it's so presumptuous, and it's so, to me, it is the most intrusive of all religions is the Jehovah's Witness, more than Muslim, more than anytime there should be a war on somebody. It seems like the person that goes to your house and goes, hey, what's your religion? Bullshit. This one. Because they have a list, they have methods, they have sales tactics that they teach at the whatever hall they call it, the some meeting hall or something like that. They go and they like say, like, they like act out, hey, what should you do in this scenario, dude? It's like all the time training videos. Every week they have like a little training video that they're like, well,
oh really?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's like going to Wolf of Wall Street. Like it's like a really low key Wolf of Wall Street where they're just like, are we gonna get more Jehovah's Witnesses? Yeah, let's sing some fucking songs. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, why do you want so many people here if there's a limited number of people that can get into heaven? Oh, because actually the earth is gonna be like kind of like a low key heaven. And also the best selling point of Jehovah's Witnesses, there's no hell.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
Well, you understand too, and this isn't me defending them, but you understand from, it's the same reason why true believer, like true blue vegans are annoying.
Right.
Because
I figured it out.
It's like, okay, perfect example. There's this chick in Bethlehem, PA, who has this vegan bakery called Vegan Treats, which I will actually say, fucking go to it. There's something like vegan food across the board, ass. But when it comes to baked goods, vegan food fucking rules. Vegan baked goods fucking rules. And hit up Vegan Treats in Bethlehem, PA. Yeah. Which actually, sidebar, I was watching some random music documentary, and apparently, I was watching, you know the hardcore band Bane?
Yeah.
The chick who runs Vegan Treats randomly popped up in that. She must know the guys in Bane.
Oh, that's cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, the awesome bakery is owned by a cool lady. But so there was this, do you remember Lehigh Valley with Love?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that the dude who ran that, he wrote, nothing personal to the guy, he's whatever, but he wrote this article shitting on the lady from Vegan Treats, where, the fuck was it? Oh yeah, because he was giving her shit because she was putting out this fucking this like imitation chicken and waffles. Which I guess there's a technical argument where people are always like, well, if you're vegan, why would you promote the thing that's similar to meat? Which, I mean, if you're trying to get people over to being vegan, having stuff that's like meat is a good way to segue out of it. But also at the same time, I don't know, dude, the lady's just having a fun little fucking bakery. Let her do chicken and waffles the vegan way.
Yeah.
But he was writing the article from, it seemed like he was like, you know when people are saying one thing and you kind of like dig a little deeper and you go, oh, this is about some other shit. The other shit that it was about was apparently the vegan lady went to some, so take everything I say in stride because I can't remember it specifically, but there was a thing where she was at like some restaurant or a coffee shop and they had like an animal head on a wall and she like fucking complained. And to a lot of normal people, that's annoying as shit. But and to me, that's annoying as shit too. Yeah. But in a weird way, I respect her because I go, yeah, to her, you're doing a fucking war crime on the wall.
Yeah.
So she's being true to her bullshit. Now it's our job to be like, hey, acting like this is a lot. And so in a weird way, now at the end of the day, I think strategically it is bad for these religious people to do stuff like that because, like, from your perspective, they give you a bad taste in your mouth because they come off so condescending. But but there is also a part of me that like that gets it because I go like they look at the whole world as like, oh, you're all gonna burn in hell, or you're all like just so lost, and we have fucking pretentious, but to people, but also too, they have to like respect. That's what I always say for any group, any culture, any of this stuff, respect the fact that there's a lot of people that could give a fuck less about what your thing is, you know?
Right.
And like the fact that you really like, and this could go back to fucking music. Like when people get fucking pissed off that someone doesn't like the thing. You ever be in that conversation where you bring up a movie or someone brings up a movie like, oh, I love The Godfather. And you're like, I've never seen it. And then they almost fall to the ground with offense. Like, you've never seen, and you're like, yes, I do different things than you. So it's like people, that's the balance of life. People have to figure out, it's like, you know, if you guys actually want people a part of your shit, you might want to figure out you might want to tweak your methods a little bit because, like, dude, that's always been my biggest problem with, like, that's always turned me off about religion. It's because most religious people I meet, they seem nice, but they're always just like a little weird.
Yeah, they almost seem. It's funny because they oftentimes present themselves as somebody who has all of the answers or does know more than you, and usually and maybe it's just me projecting, and maybe it's me reading too much into it, but they always present it as like we know more than you, but don't worry, we're willing to help you. We want to help you, but they always end up coming off sounding so stupid. And I don't mean that to sound like, or not stupid. That's a bad way to put it. Naive. They seem very naive and gullible in their approach of saying, no. They all end up like, the more devout you are, the more like a cult it sounds. You know what I'm saying? So even when that happens, and from my personal experience, the people that are the most religious are always the most scared to die. So it's like you have the most stakes in it. So also, you just going up to somebody and saying, no, you got to think about quality of life. There are going to be some people that have incurable diseases, or let's say curable diseases, that choose not to cure them and just go, you know what? I'm tired of fighting. I just want to die. You're not going to understand it because you personally believe you differently. But there's people that quality of life is, you know what, if existence is going to be awesome and then after this is all terrible, I'm going to try to live it up as much as I can now, and because I know it's awesome right now and I don't have faith that it's going to be awesome afterwards. You may be right, but they can't, it just seems like oftentimes they can't just let those people be, or they don't accept that those people exist. So it's like,
yeah, that's an interesting part of it too, where, because I come from the perspective. That's why I like libertarianism and shit like that, because a lot of libertarians are like the live and let live. And I'll be the type of guy that'll be like, I'll tell you how I think, but if you don't fucking care, just, my whole thing is like, hey, just don't let your bad decisions affect my life, and you can go vibe out however the fuck you want. That's the interesting part about religious people, is they like, yeah, you good?
You actually froze up on my end.
Oh no, we both did. We both froze up. Were you gonna say something?
No. I was waiting for you. Were just ramping into a point.
I think I hit it. No, it's just like, yeah, that's an interesting part about religion. I was saying that's an interesting part about religious people, is they're not good at accepting that you don't give a shit.
Yeah. I would rather somebody, if I start explaining something that you don't give a shit about, just stop me and just go like, hey, with all due respect, I don't really, or I guess, or just to say like, walking away. I don't know. I get when people, I can see when people aren't interested, when I'm explaining how a Kimura works, or and I start going like, oh yeah, all you got to do is in this situation, like when I was explaining how not impressive that Bryce Mitchell transition was to the back, and I was just like, yeah, I was like, yeah, cool. I mean, it was good, but also like it's also like if I start explaining why it's not good, people are gonna start going like, and just have this blank look on their face and just kind of nod and just you kind of see the life leave their eyes and you're like, all right, and you
So I
and
will
religious people don't read those cues.
I will say to that though, I will say to that there is I in my opinion, common just what would be the word? Just like social niceties. I don't know what the word would fucking be.
Social
But just
contract.
out of respect, well, people always try to get libertarians caught up in that bullshit to try to convince them taxation isn't theft. So I don't fuck with the social contract. But there is also just just implied subtle things where it's like if you don't give a shit, let someone ride out on their point, politely smile, but also pick up on someone not giving a shit. So if they politely smile, wrap it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
More heaven for you. More heaven for you. You don't have to share heaven more. You can have more heaven, an extra room in your house in heaven.
You'll always get the good seat at the theater in heaven.
Right. You don't if you invite like if you're like, hey, I got eternal salvation for you, and I'm gonna just preach it, and they go, no, thank you. Just they said no, thank you. Just take that. If they go like, maybe they're possessed, and you can save them or something like that. If they just hiss at you or something. But like if somebody goes, no, thank you, like just assume maybe they're Jewish, maybe they have their own beliefs. Nobody can, and this is exactly my issue with politics, and we've talked about this a million times, of like where both sides
call those guys politics.
but a lot of times they're
right.
They don't see but they don't see their own hypocrisy of like, oh no, I've got the answer. Oh no, you oh that's so cute. You thought that was the way to vote. It's actually this way. And it's like,
I will say this about politics is my only one tweak on your perspective is I think they're mostly just lying.
Yeah, I think religion is too. It's real. Faith is lying. Faith is lying to yourself. It's saying like, even though there's no real actual proof of this, it's saying, oh yeah. That's all. It's all real. I believe you. You're being sold. You were sold. It's 100% lying to yourself. There's no proof of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Sorry, I feel like we're having a little bit of a
no.
Oh.
Yeah, no, my internet's being weird. It was working out. It was acting up early. Sorry, that's like a deep. What?
I was gonna say try smacking Steph. Just give her a smack. Smack Steph.
Just hit her.
Just give Steph a smack. Yeah, just see if that works.
All right, I'll try that. No, it's an interesting. I would say. Now, I think you could argue that there's a lot of people high up in different religious organizations that are kind of fudge, because it's like, you know, you'll see a lot of these people in charge of churches having like super fancy suits and all these like nice cars and like private jets and stuff like that. So it's like, oh yeah, you guys are fudging the numbers. You guys are being a little bit of fibbers on certain things. You're being like disingenuous, but I think they like fill in the blanks. And they sort they sort of fudge the numbers emotionally, being like, well, I'm in charge of the church and I'm speaking to God, so if I need a little bit extra comfort, like I deserve it, or blah blah blah. But I need that
private jet to be closer to Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. But I think like the average, I would assume, like I think about like the Muslim people I know, like they seem to really believe it. And I used to work with this dude who was super into Jesus. Like I would always tell him like, dude, this guy was so fucking funny because he would drink, dude, before he even stepped into work, he'd have like 2 double espresso iced coffees, and he'd be this fucking, and I would get on his ass because like I'm usually the type of guy, like I don't give a fuck, you know, if you're unless you're like someone close to me, I don't give a fuck how you're fucking your shit up. I don't fucking care. But when it's at a warehouse job and you're driving around on the forklift like a goddamn psychopath, and you could fucking run into me, that's where I'm like, hey buddy, how about we slow the fuck down? He was the type of dude who would just like rush through shit, and he had to like strap this 55-gallon drum of like toxic chemicals, and he didn't strap it down properly. And then I was like, yo, dude, you got to strap that down properly. He's like, I got it. And then he's like driving it away and it's not strapped down properly. And he goes, dude, the strap on the truck will be fine. And I go, hey man, you might kill a kid on the highway. And then we all lose a job. Like if you kill a kid, we all lose, you know, it's just, but anyway, so he
if you kill a kid, we are fired. Okay. And that's not okay.
Oh yeah. Also sad when the kid dies, but also I'm losing a job.
Yeah. I can't play my PlayStation anymore. Okay.
But yeah. So what was I saying?
His poor decisions are affecting you negatively.
So I remember I would talk to him because like the dude would be jacked up on caffeine every day.
Yeah.
He would be jacked up on caffeine, fucking running around and shit like that. And I told the dog, I was like, dude, you should like really pull it back. Like it's clearly problematic how much fucking caffeine you're drinking every day. You should like calm the fuck down. And I would ask him, and like I said, the dude would be he'd be cranking 2 double shot espresso iced coffees before he stepped into the fucking building. And then before lunch, he's going back to Dunkin' to get another like large coffee. And he goes, oh yeah, no, coffee doesn't affect me like that. And you ever have someone just lie to your face? And he's literally like, he's literally like standing there like, yeah, coffee doesn't affect me at all. And I'm like, dude, like you're like, I love you, buddy, but you're fucking lying to me. And
then your hand out. Is it shaking? Is it going like this?
Yeah. And then and he's like, no, I just drink it because I like it. And I go, okay, come in tomorrow and don't drink any caffeine and tell me how bad your fucking migraine's going to be. Because that's what's going to happen. You're going to have the gnarliest migraine of your entire life. But this is what the dude says. He goes, yeah, it's not. And I go, well, how the fuck do you wake up in the morning? He's like, I get up and I put on, and he was like playing me the Jesus music he likes. It was just the shittiest, corniest fuck. And he's like, yeah, dude, I just crank some Jesus music and the Holy Spirit fills me with the energy to get through the day. And I go, you don't think it's the 2 double shot espresso iced coffees?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. But that was, I got
fill your cup with some prayer. Try that out and see how you feel in the morning. Because, dude, honestly, of all the drugs I've ever tried, caffeine is the only one I've ever experienced withdrawals from. Aside from, I think I was on Propofol when I had surgery, or some kind of like whatever they put me on. I was sweating and itching like crazy when I was coming off of. Like I had like
Propofol was the one that killed Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah, but they do. I mean, the reason it killed him was because he was using it as a over-the-counter, and it's meant for surgery.
Well, that's like the thing with fentanyl. If you like fentanyl's super strong, but if you give it a small enough dose and administer it, there's that one TikTok that I see all the time go around. It's so fucking funny, where the doctor's talking to the kid's just like lying back in his thing, and the doctor's talking to him, and she's like, yeah, so we administered the fentanyl, and you see the kid just go, fentanyl? and she's like, yeah, because it's gotten a few. And but no, if you control the dosage of it, fentanyl's super beneficial to you.
Yeah, it's for sure, and it tastes great too.
So we got off on a little bit of a tangent. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I think because this is a music podcast, and we kind of went an hour without talking about music.
So
should we just kill ourselves?
You want to just read from the Bible, and then we'll just do a murder sue or a susu? You don't have to do a mursu. We can do a susu.
Mursu. No, I'm just laughing because I'm like, damn, we didn't talk about music at all. But
legitimately, the comments came to a screeching halt. They're like, all right, well, we're gonna head up. Let's SpongeBob. Everybody SpongeBob memed us, and they're like, all right.
Oh yeah, dude! Everyone SpongeBob the shit out of us.
Sorry.
So what do you want to do?
This is about us growing. This is about us growing as men, right? Also, this is about our journey.
You know what we should do?
What?
Let's do this. let's do this. Because we normally do 2 hours. Since we didn't talk about any music, do you want to stop and then we'll come back?
Yeah.
And then we'll do another hour talking about music.
Sure, we can do that. You want to do that?
You want to do that? All right, guys, we'll be back in like a minute or two. And then we can break this up and I'll put a message online and let everyone know that there's an actual music episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.